Yo, what's going on, legends? Welcome back to the channel, and I hope you're all doing fantastic today. In today's episode, we're going to be breaking down every single Blight add-on in the form of a tier list. So everything from S tier down to F tier. So we're going to have some really good add-ons, but there are also going to be some really bad ones and some ones that you should probably avoid. But also, I'm going to try and explain maybe which ones are going to suit more intermediate players, maybe some that benefit more beginner players, and then a couple add-ons that are going to be really good if you are skilled with Blight and have the know-how and understanding of his base kit to really, kind of take advantage of them. Also, I should mention, this is in no particular order, and I'll try and explain which ones are going to be the best in combination as well, because some of these add-ons on their own aren't fantastic, but when you combine them with other things, they become very good. Okay, so, first up is going to be Compound 21, which, okay, funny bit of trivia, I guess. Compound 21 has had basically no change since launch. In the PTB, it had a significantly wider range, and also it would tell you if a survivor was inside a locker, which obviously Behavior thought was problematic. I'm kind of glad this one got changed. But since then, it has been pretty much the exact same the whole time. What Compound 21 does is this one will reveal the aura of survivors within a close proximity to where you bump. This one is really good in just, like, I mean, it constantly gives you information, right? Unless they're running distortion or anything that's going to hide the aura in general, like, being able to constantly see where a survivor is incredibly strong. However, I'm going to warn this one. The problem with Compound 21 is that, like, similar to perks like Windows or maybe Tinkerer, it's the kind of thing that you've got to, like, very actively keep in mind, right? As in, let's say you're bouncing and you get to, like, a building or a tile or something. If you see the aura of a survivor, you should be making a note of where that survivor is and why they're doing that, and then use that in your future games when you're not running this add-on. A common issue I see with this add-on, more than any other one, is that when people stop running this one, they really struggle to identify what people are doing because they're so used to being fed that information. So just be careful with this one, but it is a very good add-on. Next up is the classic Blighted Crow. This one is going to increase your speed by 3% for every bump you do. So by the end of it, it's going to be 3 times 4, which is pretty sick. It has been nerfed, but honestly, it's still incredibly strong, especially combined with other add-ons that we'll discuss a little bit later on. In fact, kind of next up, actually. Yeah, Blighted Crow is really good because you can zone people away from tiles and objects they want to get to, interactables like windows and pallets. It can be really effective for catching someone at, like, a filler tile with bump logic that, like, maybe without the extra speed, you wouldn't have hit them. Like, you managed to just swing before they get back, kind of back to the pallet, for example. Not really much else to say about Blighted Crow. It's a really strong add-on. Very good. Blighted Rat is going to be the same thing. In fact, I'm going to put this one a little bit higher. Blighted Rat is, instead of 3% per bump, it is now 2% per bump. Which is still very good, and honestly, like, on its own, it's pretty strong. Especially if you're going to be newer to Blight. Something I always recommend is that if you are newer to Blight, don't run things that are going to be changing your base kit stats too much. As in, try and avoid slam duration, try and avoid turn rate, because you really want to get a feel for how Blight plays on his own, right? How far you can rush, how long you can stay in slam for. How much you can turn around a tile. These are all really important things that you're going to need to learn to become a good Blight player. However, Blighted Crow, or the Blighted Rat, realistically, you're going to be running speed anyway. Most Blights do. And so going in with, like, a little bit of speed just to get used to that increase is not a bad thing. And of course, combining double speed is, like, the go-to, the classic kind of Blight combo. So always going to be good. Next up is Canker Thorn, which is kind of a tricky one, I think, because it doesn't really do that much. Effectively, what Canker Thorn does is it decreases your fatigue animation. So when you bump into something and your slam duration ends, the screen kind of goes dark for a second and you look down and you, like, inject, right? The problem is that, like, this doesn't work if you swing. So if you swing, that injection animation is not reduced with Canker Thorn or Foxglove, which we'll get to soon. It's in certain build scenarios, like so for example, like when you're against a very good survivor, sometimes the survivors will jump inside a locker in order to avoid a hit, right? If you were to bump into the locker and then fatigue a little bit quicker, you could pretty much guarantee a hit with an M1. The only problem with that is that, like, there are better techniques often to bait people into jumping out of a locker, which I'm sure I'll explain soon in the upcoming Blight Guide, by the way. Definitely keep an eye for that one. It's not inherently bad, and if you just want to run, like, base kit, nothing Blight with Canker Thorn and Foxglove, for example, like, it's better than running nothing, but it's not actively making you worse. The effect is very small, and for the same reason, I guess we can just quickly do this one. Foxglove is the same as Canker Thorn, doesn't really do a whole lot. It's mediocre. Next up is, okay, so, Chip Monocle. Chip Monocle is going to be the first foray, I guess, into bad add-ons. In fact, I would argue this is probably one of the most misleading add-ons in the entire game. It's ridiculous. So, basically, I'm not sure if you've ever played Nurse with the Flat Planel add-on. Basically, what that add-on does is it will show you the blink land location. So, instead of having to guess or use muscle memory to know how far you're going to go, it will physically tell you how far you can go. Now, the reason it works on Nurse is because Nurse is pure muscle memory, right? You have to know kind of how far you can go based on how long you're holding down the blink for. With Blight, all this is doing is displaying a big kind of golden circle, very like Sonic-esque, I guess, kind of on an object that you can bounce into, or, an object that's in front of you. The issue is two things. Firstly, if you can see an object in front of you, then you know that it's there to bounce into anyway, right? I can't imagine many people are really going to benefit from that. And secondly, the big reason why this is arguably the worst add-on for Blight, I mean, it's not quite, but it is definitely the most misleading add-on in the game, is that Blight rushes for 3 seconds total. The problem is that this doesn't actually show you 3 seconds worth of distance. It shows you a tiny bit more. It's like 3.05 or 3.1 seconds. And so, I'm not sure if I can get a clip here just to demonstrate it real quick, but like, it will sometimes show you that you can bounce into something despite it actually being too far away to reach. And for a beginner player who is, I guess, what, the audience that this add-on is designed for, I genuinely cannot recommend this to anyone. It is garbage. Next up, oh man. So next up is Adrenaline Vial. And the Adrenaline Vial is, it's been through a lot. Okay, like, if you've been around Blight for a while, you're gonna recognize this one as being probably one of the most, controversial add-ons, I guess, of all time. And if you're new here, basically, this add-on, what it does is it will significantly reduce your turn rate, as in you basically can't turn while in a rush. You look forwards, whatever is in front of you, that is what you're probably going to hit. The benefit from that massive downside, and I cannot stress how big that downside is, especially for a reason I'm going to explain in a second. The reason why, or the benefit of that, I guess, is that you get 2 extra rushes, so you're now at 7 instead of 5, but you also move slightly faster. The problem is that the speed increase is not really worth it. Maybe you could argue that combining it with Blighted Crow gives you, because that one is per rush or per bump, and it makes you faster. So now you're effectively gaining 2 more stacks of speed. The biggest problem is that in the past few months, they did remove the hug tech, and in changing the hug tech, they also made Blight's collision really, really sticky. As in, it's almost impossible not to collide with things anymore, because the verticality of your camera doesn't make a difference. And so, the issue with Adrenaline Vial is that, like, doing a 180 flick or trying to turn towards someone, all a survivor's got to do to dodge you is just move to the left very, very slightly, and you no longer have the turn rate to move that little bit closer to them to actually get a hit. And furthermore, if you're trying to flick around a tile or an object or something, the turn rate is so low that it's not going to push you back around the object towards the survivor, like a normal Blight flick would. It's going to push you away from the object. And so I really cannot recommend this add-on because of the new bumping. I mean, it does still have some practicality. I wouldn't say it's like a bad add-on as such, but I wouldn't recommend it. I don't really enjoy it anymore, sadly. The extra look angle is nice, which I should mention is the other thing it does. It does a lot of things. It increases your look angle, which kind of means you can just flick bigger, I guess, but the flicks are garbage, so it's not worth running. Probably worse than these two, I think. It's not good. However, you might find some use case for it. Maybe if you're running this with Compound 21 and you just want constant information or to eat through distortion stacks, maybe it could be about here. Maybe. Next up is Compound 7. I can go through this one real quick. So Compound 7 will automatically face you towards the nearest survivor when you bump close by. So let's say I bump into Shaq and someone is about to vault the window. It will automatically turn my camera towards them. This is absolute garbage. Even for a new player, because it messes up your muscle memory, right? It doesn't teach you anything. It doesn't help you in any way. And if there are like 2 survivors nearby and you're trying to chase one of them, or, you know, God forbid, right? Imagine you're in like a small room and you're constantly trying to bump, you get stuck on something, camera turns. Then you've got to like look away because like maybe there's, you know, you can see the survivor, but there's like a table in the way. And obviously you can't rush through the table. So now you've got to look to the right to try and get around the table. You bump again, camera's back on the survivor, right? Super disorienting, just super lame add-on. It's not worth running. If you're good at Blight, it sucks. If you're bad at Blight, it sucks. Ignore this one. Compound 33 is the first Iridescent here. This add-on is not nearly as good as it was before. What this add-on does now is it does still give you 5 rushes total. There was a change recently that made it 3, now it is back to 5. But it does give you 11% turn rate and 11% distance, or a duration. You can rush for 11% longer, basically. Now, although this might not seem significant, it is still something you can feel. And as a good Blight player, you can definitely take advantage of that slight 11% further distance. And also the turn rate, when you're like looping around a tile, especially if you're like going long. If you're someone that likes to really identify a situation and like instead of just bump, you know, kind of in a circle, you want to like, okay, I'm going to run around the backside of Shaq, I'm going to bump into this window and then this tree. You want to just do like a bigger kind of like, you know, plan. And especially when you combine it with something like Blighted Crow, honestly, like these two together have become some of my favorite add-ons to run. It's nothing crazy. It's not the most like OP combo in the game, but it feels really responsive, and he feels very smooth running both of those add-ons. And so if you're someone that just wants a slightly easier feeling Blight, or if you're looking for add-ons that just make him feel a little bit more responsive and give him that little bit more turn rate, give you a slightly, you know, kind of tighter flick, that kind of thing, C33 is a fantastic add-on to run. Although I definitely recommend running it in combination with something. I think it's definitely up here on its own, for sure. Next up is the Alchemist Ring, and this one has had one of the biggest changes in the game. So, of course, beforehand, what it would do is you would hit a survivor, and it would automatically give you all of your rushes back, which, of course, was really, really, really strong. Everyone hated this add-on, unless you're a Blight main, and then you love this add-on, because it lets you do the fun part of Blight just more frequently, right? It was kind of like running, it's kind of like driving a Ferrari, but every time you run out of, you know, petrol, or gas, I guess, it just automatically refills. You just keep on driving, right? It's that kind of feeling. Nowadays, what it does is it gives you plus 20% distance after bumping into something. So the same as the Blighted Crow, but instead of making you faster, it makes you run further. Now, this add-on in particular, I do have to preface, if you are new to Blight and you are not used to going long, as in always prioritizing bumping into an object that is as far or close to that 3-second total timer as possible, you probably won't get any benefit from this. Because let's say that you're someone that bumps into early objects, like, you know, your first rush is 1 second, then it's 2 seconds, then it's 2.5 seconds, then it's 1 second. Like, this add-on is going to do literally nothing. However, if you are someone who's a little bit more experienced or wants to practice in going longer, and I'm not kidding, right? Like, keep in mind, it's 20% per rush, which means by the end of it, you are moving 80% further, right? That's almost, what, 5.6 seconds? My math might be wrong here, but, like, it's a long time, dude. It's extreme. And so, yeah, it's honestly one of the strongest add-ons the Blight has currently. Again, especially combined with things like Blighted Crow. You could combine it with C33, which is also going to is going to increase it by 11% just overall. Yeah, very, very good add-on. However, I mean, I probably put it in S tier, actually. It's a fantastic add-on, but just do be aware it's not an add-on that's going to give you free value. You have to really pay attention and, I guess, work for the value, right? You've got to take advantage of the add-on. Next up is everyone's favorite, Iridescent Blight Tag. This is the strongest add-on. It was the strongest add-on at the beginning, and then they changed it, and it was still the strongest add-on, and now it's still the strongest add-on after like 3 more changes. This one will make you 10% faster, but will also increase your look angle. Now, I kind of explained this a little bit with the Adrenaline Vial. The look angle is kind of like how much flick you can do. Very, very simply put, it kind of allows you to like turn your camera quicker before you start the flick itself, before you commit to pressing swing, and allows you to like look very, very tight and then do another one. And so 180s are pretty much guaranteed every time with this add-on. They're super spicy, super quick. Not only that, but 10% speed, especially for the first rush, is incredibly strong. Now, this add-on does have a downside, which is that you are limited to 3 rushes exclusively, right? And no other add-on can increase it. So, for example, if I combine this with Adrenaline Vial, which gives me 2 extra rushes, it doesn't do anything. It will still limit me to an absolute maximum of 3. However, right, although, like, you know, I mean, initially when people saw this change, they were like, oh my god, it's garbage. It's going to be unusable. But, like, keep in mind, right, like, 3 rushes is 6 seconds of recharge. Like, holy shit, dude. 6 seconds of recharge is almost nothing, and especially when you combine it with another add-on, which is probably going to be recommended as the best add-on set in the game. I'll get to that one in a second. You can actually make it even shorter. You can go from 6 seconds down to 5.6, 5.4, 5.2 or something. I can't remember. It's pretty insane. Yeah, Iri Tag is unbelievably strong. However, keep in mind that, like, although you are recharging quicker, you are limited to 3 rushes. So, you are going to have to practice it a little bit, right? It's not going to be as free or as forgiving. You know, typically with Blights having 5 rushes, it means you can bump once, bump again. Okay, Survivor's made a strange decision. They've gone this way, they've vaulted a window. I can go back around this way with another rush, and then another rush, and then hit, right? 5 rushes total. With this one, you don't get that luxury. If a Survivor makes a weird decision that you didn't anticipate, or if you maybe bumps into the wrong thing, then your rush is effectively over. You're probably not going to catch them with the extra 1 remaining rush that you have. However, at the same time, again, does it really matter? Because ultimately, like, you do recharge them in 6 seconds. So, like, it really doesn't matter. You're getting them back so quick that even if you miss a rush or you end up predicting wrong, you can just rush again immediately. Yeah, super strong, crazy add-on. Next up is the Placebo Tablet, which is the worst add-on for Blight. I would argue it's worse than these two, but it's pretty dog, to be honest. All this one does, it's the meme add-on. It makes you slower when you're rushing. That's pretty much it. There's no upside. It just sucks. It's a Placebo Tablet. Next up is the Pustula Dust, and this one is going to increase your slam duration. Now, there are 2 add-ons. There's Pustula Dust and Rose Tonic. I'll do both of them quickly, because they're both the same thing. Effectively, what these ones are doing is that when you bump into an object, and you are in slam duration, which is where you're, like, waiting to start your next rush, that period is now longer. And I cannot overstate, I'm not kidding, these are the most underrated add-ons in the entire game. I have never once seen a Blight running these add-ons, and I don't know why. It's so beneficial because there is another upside to them in that you actually move faster while running these add-ons. So let's say, like, a really common complaint that I hear of Blights that come to my stream is they're like, Lilith, I really struggle playing on maps like RPD or Larry's or Hawkins because I can't get through doorways, right? These add-ons are perfect for that. Because what it allows you to do is you can bump near a doorway, and if you don't get through the doorway, then you can just spend up to 3 seconds moving your character through the doorway, and there is no chance you get stuck on it. And you're also moving quicker. It's really good for baiting survivors. Like, most of the time you can, like, wait at the side of a, you know, like a 50-50 tile, or like a filler pallet or something. You can wait for them to vault, and then you can just take, you know, the hits while they're in the animation. These add-ons have so much application. At some point soon, I'm gonna have to make like a whole video on these because they're unbelievable, and they've also not been changed at all, which is nice. But Both of these are going in good add-ons. If it was me, I would say that it's above Compound 21. Only because, like, once you play Blight enough, you kind of know where the survivor's going to be. But I feel like it's kind of fair to put Compound 21 probably a little bit above, because it's a very, very good add-on. Okay, so two more that we can do quickly is going to be the Umbra Salts and the Plague Vial. Both of these are the same thing. They increase your turn rates, which it does start to get a little bit confusing. So I explained earlier that the Eerie Tag and the Adrenaline Vial increases your look angle. Long story short, think of it like drifting a car, right? Like when you drift a car, you're not turning as such, you are just like pivoting, right? The car has rotated, but it's still traveling forwards, right? That's what look angle is. If you imagine turn rate is like if you were in a car and you just like start turning the wheel really fast, you don't drift, you just literally turn like a 180 or turn 90 degrees and turn to the left. Like that's what these are doing. They're very good. I very much do not recommend these if you are new to Blight. I know it makes it seem easier, but firstly, the difference isn't that massive, and secondly, it will mess up your muscle memory. Understanding Blight and his ability to turn around tiles, what tiles you can turn around, is really, really important for being good at the character. And so I don't really recommend these. You could run, so a couple combinations here. You could run Umbra Salts with Adrenaline Vial and almost be able to turn-ish, but I wouldn't recommend it. It's not worth it. You could run this with Compound 33, and honestly, like those two together, these two actually kind of sick. I recommend that because you get the initial 11% turn rate from this one on top of the, I believe, 25%, I think, or something like that. No, 15%. I should probably have looked at the wiki. The numbers keep changing. Don't blame me. Point being is that yeah, Umbra Salts is okay. I wouldn't stick it in mediocre. I still think they are good. I think Plague Bile is borderline mediocre because on its own it's doing basically nothing. If you're gonna run turn rate, run Umbra Salts. Although again, I wouldn't really recommend them. Next up, okay, two add-ons that I want to go through really quickly. Probably the most depressing add-ons in the game are going to be the Summoning Stone and the Soul Chemical. Now, these ones used to be really, really cool. Summoning Stone used to block pallets nearby where you hit survive with your rush, which was kind of like Blood Favor, but like base kit. It was really, really cool. And then Soul Chemical would provide a survive with a skill check after you kind of travel past them and they enter your tail radius, basically. Or like a certain distance of a character. Both of these have been scrapped, and now they are just duration and speed on your initial rush. So Soul Chemical will make you, I think, 5% faster in your initial rush, and similar thing with duration on Summoning Stone. Honestly, I would stick these in borderline bad add-ons. They're purple, and they are worse than everything else. There's no reason to ever run Soul Chemical when you have access to things like Blighted Crow, and especially Eerie Tag. Eerie Tag gives you 10% speed, plus the other benefits. This one gives you 5%, but only on your first rush. It is pointless. I would argue it's probably borderline bad. Now, the only reason I wouldn't put it down there is that, theoretically, if you were to combine this with Eerie Tag and get 15% in your first rush, that is quite a lot of speed. It's still worse than running Blighted Crow and Eerie Tag, but, like, it's not a terrible pick there. You could pretty much pick any other add-on set, and it would be superior, but it's not terrible. So I'm going to stick it probably at the top of mediocre. This one is duration based for the first rush, which is just Alchemist Ring but garbage. This one is probably going in bad add-ons. I can't really see any time. I've never once sat here and tested the add-ons and been like, wow, I saw some value from that one. Like, maybe if all you want to do is just max duration. But again, like, I mean, maybe if you're running this one and this one for just max duration, you may as well just run Compound 33, because that's giving you 11% duration, plus the 20% per rush of Alchemist Ring, right? Like, this is kind of the problem with Blight's current add-on set, is that, like, a lot of them are just, like, very questionable, because they do a similar thing, but one of them is clearly worse, and also rarer. So I'm probably going to put that one in bad add-ons. Pretty garbage. Bare minimum, it's going up here, I don't know. The next one, okay, so I know a lot of you probably clicked on this video looking for the best possible add-on set, and I'm probably going to have a timestamp here, so if you've just skipped here in the video, hello, welcome in, it's great to have you. This is the Shredded Notes. This is yet another add-on that has been changed, and I'm not sure why they changed this one, but it's pretty sick. So what this used to do is it used to make it so each of your rushes regenerates faster, quite significantly. However, the downside is that you are down a rush. So instead of starting with 5 rushes, you have 4. Now, back in the day, we didn't have things like Iridescent Tag, right? We also didn't have things that would really benefit having, you know, kind of 6 rushes, or 3 rushes, 6-second recharge time. Nowadays, like, running Iridescent Tag and Shredded Notes combined is really, really strong. You're regenerating, I'm trying to think off the top of my head what it would be, like 5.4 seconds, 5.2 seconds, for 3 rushes, which is really fast. You get all the benefits from Iridescent Tag, the extra speed, the extra look angle, but with no downside at all. It's kind of mind-blowing how they allow this in the game, but at the same time, I'm not complaining, it's kind of sick. So if you are looking for just the best add-on combo, these two together are going to be the best ones. At the same time, Shredded Notes on its own is, I mean, still probably up here, I'm not kidding. Like, it might not be as good as Crow on its own, but like, this is an add-on that I think combines with every other add-on extremely well. If you want to run this and Crow, you are rushing faster and regenerating faster. If you want to run this with Compound 33, you are running further, you are also turning more, and you're regenerating further. Oh, you know, faster, right? So pretty much any combination, like any of these add-ons in like the top maybe 8, are all going to be fantastic. They're very, very good to run together. So I'm probably going to stick this one at like borderline S tier up here, I think, just because it's so good, dude. It's unbelievable. And the final add-on is going to be Vigo's Journal. So Vigo's Journal is an undetectable add-on. It's really cool, and I highly recommend trying this one. If there's any add-on that I'd recommend, I mean, okay, after I finish this list, this is the last add-on, I'm going to give you a couple add-on combos to run, and if you end up trying them, please head into the comments and let me know how you found them, because there are some really cool add-ons that no one ever tries, and I'd love for you to give them a go. Okay, so, Vigo's Journal is a really, really good add-on, which makes you undetectable when you are rushing, which I'm not sure if you've ever seen. I mean, you know, obviously tier 1 Myers, you have things like Insidious. It takes away your terror radius, but also takes away your red stain, right? And so survivors have no idea where you are. And although, yes, blight bumping is relatively loud, it's not always super obvious where he's coming from. Now, the problem with this add-on, and I very much do believe this is why you never see it, despite it being honestly one of the best add-ons for him, is that it doesn't have any instant feedback from a killer's point of view, right? As in, let's say you're running Alchemist Ring. You are playing as Blight, you can clearly tell that you are running way further. That's sick, that makes sense. If you're running Shredded Notes, you can clearly tell you are regenerating faster. With these, you're moving faster. With these, you're turning more, right? With this, you can literally see a survivor's aura. With this one, you don't actually see a difference, right? Because all you're doing is you're becoming basically stealth Blights. You're becoming silent, and no one knows where you are. Now, the thing is with Blight is that you are so fast that often people can't really make it that far away. You know, if you're running towards them, you can often catch them really easily. However, with this one, they don't even really get a head start to begin with, right? If someone is in a room, in, let's say, a map like, I don't know, RPD, maybe, right? They're working on a gen. You know, they might hear a subtle bump here and there, but they wouldn't necessarily know it's coming directly towards them. And so by the time you get to them, I promise you, survivors barely have any time to react. And especially, again, like all the other add-ons, when you combine it with, like, the extra speed, extra turn rate, you know, I mean, Blighted Crow, Compound 33, Iridescent, Alchemist Ring, Shredded Notes, any of these add-ons, when you combine all of those together, plus the fact you're undetectable, it is so strong. I highly recommend, I mean, possibly if you have a friend, or maybe if you want to join my Discord server, there's a ton of people if you want to play, you know, DVDs together, or if you want to, like, discuss anything, head into a custom game, play Survivor, and go against the killer running this add-on. I promise you, you are going to be pretty shocked by how strong this one is. Okay, let's just go back through. That feels pretty accurate, though, and as far as recommendations go, if all you are doing is looking for the, strongest add-ons. You went on YouTube and you're like, hey, Lilith, I just want to play the strongest add-ons because I want to make sure that survivors never survive ever again. I want to 4K every match, 1,000 games in a row. Then honestly, just run those two, right? Eerie Tag and Shredded Notes. You're probably never going to lose. If you want something that is going to be a little bit more challenging, but gives you a whole ton of, value, try running Alchemist Ring with maybe either Vigos, or you could run Alchemist Ring and Crow, the classic combo. You could run Alchemist Ring with Compound 33. That has also been a really fun combo. That's one of my favorites right now. One of my personal favorite combos is going to be Compound 33 and the Blighted Crow. I think these two are fantastic together. They are, it just gives you that little bit extra speed, bit extra turn rate. It means that, like, oftentimes as Blights, you are, almost about to hit that flick and it doesn't quite connect. With those two, it will, and it's fantastic. Obviously, again, Compound 21 kind of matches with everything, but like that one with Compound 33, this one with Blighted Crow, this one with Alchemist Ring, honestly could be pretty good. The only thing I'd recommend avoiding is maybe, and it's not that it wouldn't work, but like, maybe combining it with Eerie Tag is not the best idea, on the basis that this one only gives you 3 rushes, and with this one, you benefit from bumping into things and seeing their auras, right? And so you might not really, it might not synergize great because you don't really have bonus bumps to just sit there and watch the survivor, Actually, if you want another really cool combo, try running Compound 21 and Rose Tonic. Those two together, really fun. Bump into something, you see their aura, especially if you're running Lethal Pursuer, which by the way does affect Compound 21. You just bump into something, see the aura, and you just watch them. You just wait there for, 3 hours. And then eventually you rush and strike. It's awesome. But yeah, feel free to screenshot this or bookmark this or whatever if you want to run some good combos. Thank you for watching. I understand this was, like a 30-minute video. Yeah, hopefully I've given you some information that that is valuable to you. Hopefully you've learned something. Make sure to comment, subscribe, like the video, all that good stuff. And keep in mind as well, over on Twitch, starting Monday, the 22nd of July. So if you're watching this early, then you are going to, hopefully be there. We're going to be starting an uncapped subathon. So I'm going to be streaming DBD and a couple other games for 12 hours a day, all the way up until the timer ends. It's going to be a lot of fun. There's a ton of goals, ton of giveaways, loads of cool stuff. Yeah, have a wonderful night, and hopefully I'll see you there. If not, take care. See you in the next video.